Guess we're doing a good job.
First time, yeah, now I got two people actually, so Joe came down today on a separate issue, but I want to first go over why, okay, actually, this is not a question and answer though, so I can't answer if there's been any progress, correct?
Well,
Is there a back and forth here or no? I'm confused exactly how this works.
But it's your, members of the public have the opportunity to address the board with relevant issues that come before the county.
Understood.
I don't know, I don't think we should be spending time on issues that we have no either jurisdiction over or any control over. I mean, there are certain concerns that we all share, but whether or not this board, as a board of commissioners, can take any action to impact those concerns.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a concern of all the commissioners, that we focus on the issues that commissioners and the county can impact.
Okay, so if an item was to put onto the agenda, would it be possible to have a back and forth and actually have a discussion?
An item that is relevant to Merrimack County?
Yes.
That we had, I would say so.
Okay, so that would be the way to go forward. That's what I understand. So public comment is more of just a one-way street.
And I think the chair explained it well. If it's something this board has control over as Board of Commissioners, it's something that we have no control over, then I don't think the agenda item would be approved to be taken up. It would have to be something that we actually have responsibility for.
Okay, and that determination would be left to the commission to decide what the commission can handle within their jurisdiction.
I think it's up to the law. When we read the RSAs, it defines what's in our jurisdiction.
Okay, so
I don't want to interrupt, and I don't want to speak for the chair either. It would have to be something that we, under the Constitution, or something that the Supreme Court has told us that we cannot do. I know in some of your writings you talked about the board possibly directing the county sheriff or the county attorney to do certain things. We cannot do, and as the chair has tried before in the past and has been told by the Supreme Court, that goes beyond his board's responsibility. So if it's something along that lines, then we couldn't take it up because we don't have the jurisdiction to perform the tasks that the person may request us to perform.
okay, understood. Later on, I'd like to catch that citation from the Supreme Court because I just want to try to get an idea of where, like, legally this whole thing stands. Because I'm a little confused on that. Okay.
I'm just going to do this. I think the site was LaMontagne.
Well, that was relative to personnel.
We can talk afterwards. It's not a quiz. I just was curious because I want to not just be up here. Okay. So as far as I understand, from your actual county website page, the sheriff's office page, it states that in New Hampshire, the sheriff's office holds the highest law enforcement authority and has statewide jurisdiction. So as far as I'm concerned, that would mean that the issues that I brought forward, poisoning of the public water supply via fluoride, the spraying and toxifying of our airs and blocking sunlight via geoengineering, and the food being served in the concert has a little bit of stretch on the jail front. But actually, let's leave that for last, because I was not able to get any updates on that. So I'm curious if you guys got anything, or if that could be forthcoming. I don't know what the stats is, but I'll come back to that. But the Board of Commissioners then, they work to ensure, this is from your page, they work to ensure that citizen concerns are met and county operations run smoothly. So they're responsible for the overall supervision of county departments, lands, and so forth. So, I mean, from my point of view, that would mean, and the fact that you guys control the budget of the county attorney and the sheriff would mean that you have control of them via an indirect means, but still control. So if somebody let's go back to, Article 12 of Part 1 of the Constitution, protection and taxation reciprocal. Every member of the community has a right to be protected by it in the enjoyment of his life, liberty, and property. He is therefore bound to contribute his share in the expense of such protection and to yield his personal service when necessary. So from my point of view, now I'm just a carpenter, I hit nails with a hammer. That would mean that if we pay taxes, which, they're for a service, they're not a gift, that then you receive something in return. And I would say that protection from being poisoned would be fair, fair trade in that whole scheme of things. So that's where I'm coming at this from. That's my mindset. And I don't want to go down constitutionality, but there's some other things in there. And now broadening this a little bit, it's political, but we're a political entity, right? And the GOP platform, the state platform, is the following. We believe dumping toxic chemicals into the air in order to mitigate the supposed threat of global warming by blocking the sun is insane and dangerous. That geoengineering in all its forms must be opposed in order to preserve the beauty and environment of New Hampshire. That's something I believe in, and I don't know if you guys do, but apparently roughly 50% of the state does, or there are people that vote on such things.
Mr. Chairman, if I could interject, sure, maybe it might save a little bit of time.
Sure.
Just to get back to your question about the budgets and all that, the commissioners control the purse strings of the county attorney and the county sheriff,
Yes.
but they cannot direct them to do anything. That's the point I was trying to make earlier, and that's a decision of the New Hampshire Supreme Court in a previous matter. We cannot say to the county sheriff, planes are putting out toxins in the air, we want you to investigate that. We don't have that control.
Understood, but could you make such a recommendation that a task force that costs the taxpayers nothing be set up? From our last meeting, I contacted the gentleman that runs Skyglass, the software I sent you a little video of, and this thing is amazing. I mean, it can track back 4 years, and he was telling me about some other, anyway, we ended up speaking on the phone for a good amount of time. He's very concerned about this topic and wants to help. And I will pay for the costs of providing access to the service to anyone in the county that wants such access.
But any member of the public could ask.
Understood, but-
Responsible entities.
But any member of the public, excuse me, okay, true. But any member of the public comes down to the same situation when they stand before a board of elected members and are told that, oh, well, you know, go to contact someone else in some other department. I'll come back to that in 1 second. Not to be disrespectful to you, but it's frustrating because we're told we're crazy, yet Britain just launched a 50 million pound geoengineering experiment. They're in the process right now of doing it. And this is from April 22nd, 2025. UK scientists launch outdoor geoengineering experiments, and just so happens that the acronym for this, the Stratospheric Aerosol Transport and Nucleation, or Satan Balloon Systems, this is from the MIT Technology Review of March 1st, 2023. So they were acting like back then they were thinking about doing it. They were even doing it for decades. But that's besides the point. What I want to get to was the Skyglass owner, Goa, who, and he released a special report actually after we spoke. He said he felt motivated. But I just want to read the conclusion and then what the abilities of this software are. I think it's really extraordinary. I think it's something that, at the very least, the people in this county do care. Now, yes, they don't come to these meetings, but I mean, I think it's clear from the last 3 or 4 months of meetings that people have things going on, and it's difficult. And they don't even realize you guys exist. I didn't know the county delegation was the county government until I became state rep.
Jason, let me ask you a question. Where you believe that the sheriff and county attorney can do something about this?
Yes.
Have you spoke to either of them?
Yes.
And what was their response?
One was in relation to the COVID situation, and I was told that was not possible, as the Attorney General had to okay everything. And the other was in relation to setting up task forces, and I was told that you can set a task force with anyone, and that's just a fact.
I am just confused because the Board of Commissioners is not law enforcement, so what would you like us to do?
I would like you guys to research said topic, and if not, they're not willing to set up such investigatory bodies, then you take the initiative and do so, and there's mountains of data, and at that point, we go, okay, what's the next step? Documentation, and then becomes, okay, this makes more sense when I get to this. Let me just first get to the Skyglass thing, and then I want to get to the email from DES. So conclusion, toward a culture of discernment. Not all contrails are chemtrails, but not all atmospheric injection is benign, acknowledged, or openly governed. As aviation professionals and curious citizens, we must cultivate a discerning eye, one that respects the rigor of science but questions the motives behind its public presentation. The sky, after all, is a shared domain. As we deepen our exploration of atmospheric injection and its implications, let us do so with humility, courage, and a commitment to seeking truth beyond the boundaries of official narratives. Our skies deserve nothing less. Now, lastly, this is talking about the capabilities. With Skyglass Pro Plus, you can search aircraft by call sign, registration, or owner, investigate flight tracks using flight history mode, or even set up Overwatch geofences to log every aircraft penetrating the designated region. Want to go back in time and see how atmospheric patterns and operations evolved over the past 4 years? Time travel mode unlocks a rich archive of data and 3D visual intelligence unmatched by any other tool in the public commercial sector. It's not a promo for his service, but We were also talking about in the future, he's going to be able to have the weather reports essentially integrated with the flight pattern. So you can actually see, oh, if this plane goes by and all of a sudden you have a flight, a weather pattern develop. That seems kind of suspicious. The technology is amazing. I mean, AI and all the rest of it is really changing the whole dynamic. Now, last thing would be an email from DES to an individual that's concerned about this. It wasn't me. But he sent in some water samples, and the response was, this is from David Healy, the chief scientist at DES. He said, I spoke with our water division about the test results that you sent previously. The substances in the results are metals that can occur naturally in soil and rock. If you want to do a more extensive testing, this web page has guidance, and that's the problem. You do these tests on your own dime, and they tell you, well, it's not good enough. You know what I mean? Go look at it. It's like, what is your job? What are you doing besides staying in an office, Charlotte? Seriously. Okay. And the last thing, he essentially hits him with the just trust me, bro, when he's talking about how he cares about aviation, his grandfather's in World War II, and quote, so just speaking as one person to another, I would swear on my life that aircraft are not being used for harmful spraying or attacking us. It's just, I don't know if you guys can detect the amount of frustration going on, but it doesn't seem like anything is really going to change until people keep coming to these meetings, and which not like a threat, but I do plan on constantly coming, because I think this is important. And no other
Mr. Chair, if I might interject, none of this is in our jurisdiction regarding the fluoride in the water or the alleged plain spray chemicals over Merrimack County. So if there's something within our jurisdiction that you would like to speak to us about, I would love to hear. But where those things aren't, I think it's inappropriate to have those conversations here. I would direct you to law enforcement because we don't have that jurisdiction. And I don't want to lead you on thinking that we do. Do you have any matters that relate to Merrimack County within the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners?
Okay, so where is your jurisdiction listed? What is within your
We're not going to go back and forth over this.
Well, no, I mean, it's a genuine question. I'm not trying to be actually aggressive or anything. I'm trying to actually be honest. I don't know what because as far as I understand, it's you work to ensure that citizen concerns are met and the county operations run smoothly. So, I mean, I would classify everything I talked about as a citizen concern. And I don't believe county operations can run smoothly when we're being poisoned. So, I mean...
I think our website outlines all the departments that are functioning within Merrimack County and explains who the relevant public officials are that deal with those issues.
Okay.
And so I think that's pretty clear. Our budget is available to anybody who has any interest in looking through the line items to see what kinds of functions we perform at the county, and if there are concerns about those specific functions, then that is something that could be brought to the board.
So the lack of enforcement from the county attorney and the sheriff is not something that's within your jurisdiction?
I would say that that would be a concern for the Attorney General, who has some jurisdiction over the functioning of county attorney's offices throughout the state.
So what about the sheriff?
The sheriff is independently elected. We would have jurisdiction over some of the employees, not all of the employees. And I'll give you the reference to the Supreme Court decision relative to that. But it was pretty clear about the role of the Board of Commissioners versus the sheriff.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And I'll give you the email to get that information from you later on.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Any other?
14 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Bring a tripod next time. Can you hold on?
Joe wants to say something real fast, though.
Okay.